Tuesday. What's the date? May 2nd, right?
Yeah. May 2nd?
Yeah. So this is Will. How do you say his name again?
Blues.
Will Blues. His name is Will.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah. We'll get. Oh no, we're putting him on the spot. We're just aiming things at him. I have questions.
She wrote them down, so they were gonna.
Yeah, I do the interviews. I'm the one that has no.
She's helping me out.
No, we don't need to ask them a little bit. Okay, so you got your recorder?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so thanks for coming and letting us get you something. And so what he wanted to ask about was some of your background and also your ideas musically, because you have, of all the buskers we've seen, a very unusual style. Your playing style, your ambient sound, your harmonics, using the pedals. You're the only one that doesn't move up and down the street, so you stand out. And you've been here the longest of all the other buskers. When we asked who would you like us to talk to somebody, and they said, there's that guy in front of the fire. They didn't know your name.
I'm becoming an icon?
You have become officially, yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
So it happens.
Well, I mentioned you during the presentation about the research.
Somebody shoots me.
Pre-presentation.
Nobody will touch you.
I said there's the guy named Will, and you know him if you've ever been on 4th Avenue. He plays his electric guitar. And like, oh, they're like in front of the fence? Like, I'm like, yeah, everyone knew who you were. Like, they didn't know you, but they'd all
They didn't know your name and they didn't know who you were, but you were always there. And your style is unique, because we've been up and down on 4th Avenue for a long time, listening to all different presentations. It isn't just that it's amplified, it's the way you rearrange your melodies and you keep it continuous. Like,
I try to be unique.
You are unique, but we've both seen you before play continuously for such a long, it was amazing. You never sat down, you never spoke, you just ran a medley, just one melody into another, just whatever you wanted to do. So, in my impression, having been a musician too, I said to myself and to him, I said, no, that's Busker.
As long as you don't want to break a chair over my head.
No, nobody ever does. Nobody ever does. So we wanted to ask a couple things, like a little bit about your background. When did you start playing? Not busking, but actually playing.
I started playing back in 06, 05, 06.
11 years.
About 11, 12 years.
Was guitar your first instrument?
Yeah.
So you didn't play anything and you just picked up guitar and whap, boom, there you are.
Yeah, a little harmonica. But I didn't use harmonica.
Did you start with acoustic or electric first?
I started with acoustic, and then somebody came with electric and drawn me out. And I said, well, I'll just go for electric.
So when did you start busking, standing here on 4th Avenue?
When did I start?
Yeah. Is it
About 05 or 06.
So you just started right off the bat,
Yeah.
playing and busking right here. Gosh. On 4th Avenue.
At first it was very embarrassing. Very embarrassing. It's like a wall of embarrassment. I can't go out there, and I can't, it's like...
Is it just anxiety, or did you have bad experiences? Or?
No anxiety about going out there and playing for people.
You didn't know what was going to happen.
You just sort of started playing.
Yeah, when I started playing, it was really hard to get out there. And it's what I think is what stops a lot of buskers, because I've heard a lot of buskers, being, apprehensive about playing in public, because it's embarrassing. If you're not secure with yourself, the more you play, the more you're out there, the more secure you become in you.
We've heard a lot of buskers say, I teach and coach, so I have this philosophy too, that if you have that anxiety and you're a musician and you need to get to that really genuine space, the best thing is to just throw yourself out in public and get your confidence, get used to it.
Yeah, I heard Paul McCartney. I heard Paul McCartney disguises himself on 4th Avenue to busk every night.
Is that true? I wish that was true.
Was his a house?
He had a ranch right there, yeah? We live behind this ranch.
I wouldn't doubt it, because it's a totally different experience from stage.
Tell me about that.
because you're actually mingling with the public, pretty much. And, there's no fence between you and the public.
No.
You have to deal with everything, and most people are very nice. 99% people are nice, but it just takes that one person to make it nice.
Can you tell me your best experience and your worst experience busking here?
My best experience?
Best experience here. Or a good experience.
There's so many experiences, but
Yeah, I figured. Is there anything that sticks out in particular, or just in general?
is there anything that stands out? It's just surviving out there. There's so many things that can happen that are not good on the street.
Oh yeah.
So
at the end of the night, you're like, I'm alive.
yeah.
Nothing's broken. I feel good.
Very grateful, yeah. None of my equipment is broken. People just pass by there. And
Yeah.
they can do all kinds of things.
Do you have like what was the worst thing that ever happened?
The worst thing, I think, is somebody. I was playing and I was really concentrating on what I was doing, and my head was down looking at what I was doing, and somebody threw a shoe, a lady's one of those rubber shoes, at my head. Boom. And it's you got to take the bad with the good.
Poor soul.
Ha 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 ha. Perfect.
So we were.
Yeah, that's the worst thing. But it could be a lot worse,
Yeah, it can.
But yeah. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. We were talking earlier about how things had changed in the last 11 years out there
Oh,
on
yeah.
Forest.
Since '05.
It's a long time to be out there. You mentioned a lot of things that had sort of changed, but I wonder if you could recant that or recount. That's the word I want.
Well, basically, the cold people that were cold before are a little colder, and the good people that were warm then, they're even warmer now. So,
What do you think caused that?
I guess people that are negative just, keep on going down, and people that are positive just keep on rising.
There's been a lot of changes on 4th Avenue too. The trolley, they did the downtown renovation. A lot
That's
of
true.
the clubs and the spots.
It's very
are
beautiful.
gone. Yeah, it's pretty.
Nice
It's all
job.
glittery.
Pay for parking.
Paid for parking. All
You
kinds
also
of
mentioned how the
Mendy's
economic
has a new
situation
store.
had changed, and how between when you started and now there's less money out there. There's an increase in the number of homeless transient fellows.
Yeah, there's more homeless people. There's less money. There's actually, but there's less violence, which is good.
Oh,
yeah.
that's true.
And the police are a lot friendlier and
That's
more
true.
people-oriented than
true.
12 years ago.
I remember here from 2000 to 2005 here, and it was very almost like a fiesta, like a border town should be. It's like a Quentin Tarantino strip.
In the year 2000, 4th Avenue was really alive.
Very lively.
Really
This is
alive.
so regulated.
The whole street, all the way down
All the way down.
to the 420 Club.
The 420 Club, that's right. And I remember we used to kind of hang with a lot of performance artists. So we had the whole drum circles and the really phenomenal dancers and all the capoeira people and all the fire dancers and the Flamschen wannabes and all the Day of the Dead people. And they sort of roamed.
The gay bars right by.
All the dancers used to go there.
And it was jumping
Always.
Friday night, Saturday night, Thursday night, Wednesday night. It was jumping.
Every night.
Even
All
Sunday
dancers.
night was good, but Monday, Tuesday it was calmed down. But Wednesday night, they started on Wednesday night,
That's right.
and they went through Thursday night, Friday
That's
night.
right.
I used to busk Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays.
It
Now
did well, I'm sure.
did pretty good. I mean,
Pretty good.
It was good. It was good both ways,
I remember.
financially and learning how to play. 'Cause really, when you play out on the street, it's probably the ultimate practice because it makes you be good because you're doing it in front of people. So it forces you to be better, and it forces you to do it. It forces you to be better all the time.
Do you have a lot of requests from people?
Usually, that song by Sublime, I don't practice Santeria.
Yep.
I don't have no crystal ball.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Usually that, and of course, Leonard Skinner.
Really?
Freebird.
Oh, well, yeah, naturally.
That's always
naturally.
That's always
The entire extended reprise, right? The whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's phenomenal.
So we, in addition to songs, we sometimes hear you out there noodling around a bit with some like jazz-like
noodle a lot,
improvisations. So how much time would you say you split between improv and then playing specific songs?
I don't think it's more than 10 or 20% of just noodling around in between songs. I really need a good rhythm player to
Really?
bounce off of,
Oh, I'll volunteer. I love the complaint.
because that's really the rhythm player is the most important part of it. And my job is to embellish the rhythm player. As a lead player, I'm mostly a lead player.
You are. Your arrangements. I've heard you.
I do chords because I have to.
Yeah, but they're open-ended. You have a lot of inversions. You have a lot of sustain going. Of course, you have a pedal array. But the way you've arranged a lot of the melodies, it's heavy emphasis on the lead, and it carries the whole. It's like a whole box of sound coming out of just you and your pedal.
Wow.
And your guitar, and it's all echoing all up and down the street. It's just gorgeous.
Thank you very much.
I don't think I've ever heard you make an audible mistake. No, it's not nothing that really hit dissonance or anything.
The nicest thing about
It's just
it
gorgeous.
is whenever we
Thank you
come
very
out
You're welcome.
on Friday and Saturday, we come out a lot on the weekends, and whenever we're heading home, after having a good night, we hear you, and we do kind of sing us home, which is always nice. Because you're kind of that fixture, very much a part of our nightly going out experience. It's cool.
As people come in, you're starting the evening, and as people leave, it's almost like having that incidental music, that program music, as people exit the building of 4th Avenue, and there you are. And it's always a good night when we hear that, because you can hear it all the way up the street. And everybody just seems, it's like there's a soundtrack for their life. And it's kind of a little bit of a 4th Avenue magic. It's one of the coolest things in Tucson right now, is just hearing that being played up and down the street as you're going up and down the avenue.
So it's working.
It's working.
I switched to 432 hertz.
Okay.
432?
432 instead of the standard 440.
Okay.
And
That's
it's much
definitely
more
working.
soothing.
Oh, yes.
They've done. I've seen some YouTube videos where they do experiments on water, and the ripples on the 432 are uniform and beautiful, and the ones in 440 they're all mixed and askew.
Remember we talked about Emoto and his water experiments? It does. Water responds. And so does the water in
We're
your
like 80% water.
Oh, even more than that?
Well, there's so many different kinds of tuning systems out there, like A440 and Equal Temperament. What they did to allow you to play in any key is they took the inherent dissonance that comes in stacking fifths and octaves and split it into 12 equal parts and took every note on the keyboard and set it off by that small increment. So it's not harmonious. It's completely dissonant across the board, but with an acceptable limit.
Well, it's like
But when they had mean tone tuning, this is a Rogue.
432.
They would use perfect thirds and tune from there, or perfect fifths, depending.
triads.
And when you play something in C major, it's like 4 times as harmonious. But the further you get away from C, the more and more dissonant it becomes. So they played around with all these ideas a long time ago, and they just settled on Equal Temperament because I don't know exactly why. I think we lost something.
Equally divided. What's your music background? Did you ever study formally, or you just, hey, I want to do this?
No, just somebody showed me the blues scale when I was
That's
a teenager, and that was it.
pentatonic.
It grew from there.
I never knew that
Simple
about
blues
you,
scale.
huh? I thought you played a long time.
Well, it's getting to be a long time. No, but I always would just pick up a guitar and just noodle on it a little bit and not really, really get into heavy studying like you do when you're out on the street.
So on the street, you have to you have an audience. The idea is that people are going to request. So you have a direct audience where you have to modify what you're doing to try to figure out what's going to please them. A lot of people like to sing with a busker too. And so there's another guy named Russell. And what he does is he plays everything in the original key.
Oh, Russell is.
Elvis. Mamadou.
They call him Elvis.
He just cut it off. But
He looks like that little kid from the Munsters if you grew up.
yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie?
Eddie. If Eddie grew up here, it would be.
Yeah. I was just saying that the other day. I thought it was cool because he
He
has
had a
the
heart
whole.
attack, poor guy.
Oh no! When?
When?
Just like a couple months ago. He's recovering from that.
Oh,
We didn't mention that.
Maybe,
Talked to him
maybe
last
6 weeks ago.
oh, we got lucky to catch it.
Yeah.
I got to stand and do his initial interview, and he was it was very entertaining. But he was proud that he could play in the original key because he said that when people ask him, it hurts him to sing. So he said, I want them to sing. And so if it sounds just like it does on the radio, just like it does on the record, it has to be in the original key. Then they immediately sing along. That was his sort of his thing that he could do. But of course, he had to do that. He has to capo everything, and then he ends up. He gets this, as you said, you could choke music to death almost. You know, you can just mangle it, right? But
you should never
But you
stop.
can't. But you should never stop playing. And so he feels it's a kind of compromise for him. Your style sounds, at least, completely opposite of that. Whether it's in the original key or not, it's not. It's like a whole rearrangement with your tuning. So everything just flows right into that tuning that you put it down to 432, and everything just flows together. It doesn't matter. It works for you, and you're not changing and capoing, doing all this other kind of stuff.
No,
So
usually I just.
it just
play everything.
flows when you play.
Not only that, I play an E flat.
E flat.
Yeah, instead of the
E
regular
flat.
E.
E flat is better
Down
for
half a
female
state.
voices. I don't know if you knew that.
So when you
Women naturally sing in E flat.
when you go to learn a new song, do you learn it by ear? Then I take it. Just listening to it and playing it.
Yeah, unless somebody shows me something,
Okay.
or some musical idea, and then I twist it to my own personality.
To fit
Right.
your needs. So what would you say are like your go-to top 10 songs? Or the first that come to mind?
The ones that he likes to play the most?
Yeah.
I really like that song by the Cranberries.
Zombie? Or
Zombie.
the other?
Zombies, right?
I love them.
I like Zombie.
This is the opening chord.
It's just a cover.
Yeah.
And other covers, Nirvana is real popular.
I've heard you play that one before. Because
You play a couple of them, I know those.
oh, when he starts that, it's like bells tolling. It's really, really awesome. It's like, oh.
What, thanks.
There are a lot of people that just stop and they don't go in the club. They turn around and they wait. We watch. And they wait. And then when the song's done, oh, okay, then they go in. So they're actually stopping and listening. Yeah, it's just compelling. It's the echo. Everything is on it. What else do you have? And you have well, when you arrange a melody, or when you take a song and you want to work it out for yourself, do you have any particular method of doing that, or a preference for style, or the way you arrange your chords? Because you're lead heavy, so I mean you can carry it and just lead alone.
And a lot of times I ask the Lord,
You're just praying, help me.
please give me a song.
You just go by how it sounds and feels.
Yeah, well, I open myself up to, for the song to develop inside me,
Right.
and just, kind of channel. I don't know what I'm channeling.
Sort of organic. It just comes out that way. That's how it seems. It's very
Organic, we were talking about
organic.
I'm sorry, what?
I don't mean no GMO. I just mean that it naturally comes from some place, some process that you just let.
Oh,
it go.
definitely. That's how you do it. You have to put yourself into it and ride it on the rail. It's the rail that you're creating. You have to ride it. So you got to walk the walk. And
I used to ask musicians I work with, do you play the music or does the music play you? And they would always say, the music plays me. Oh, yeah. And it was always like this moment where they realized that this thing was, they were humbled by it. You know, for them to be a musician was a humbling relationship, for them. And
you have to surrender completely to what you're doing.
I agree.
If you just play something, it doesn't come from the heart. It just doesn't sound. It doesn't flow. It doesn't sound right. It's not going to be taken very well because it's artificial.
Yeah, it seems like it's more more of a strain too. It's more
Plastic.
exhausting. Plastic.
As they used to say in the 60s. It's plastic.
Plastic, I'm no bad.
So what times do you think of the day or of the year are the most profitable for you? Where you get out there and
Well, when the students are here,
Students
they're
are-
wonderful. Yeah. Students are great. Students are the life. The students are the life of Fourth Avenue. U of A students,
Yeah,
yeah, Wildcats.
they're sweet too.
Yeah, when they win, it's like it's great. Yeah, but the students are they're my number one supporters, and I really love them. Sweet students.
Maybe if we can put a video up, we'll have a webpage and they can comment, hey, it's that guy that we see every Saturday. Trying to kind of also use this chance to promote a little bit the busking downtown, especially to the U of A community, populations.
They appreciate what I do very much also.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
And it's great because a musician needs to have an audience. An audience has to see a performer to have that event.
To make it a happening.
To make it happen.
Tell that to Bob Dylan
Yeah.
and the Brooklyn Bridge.
Huh.
Well, now that's Bob Dylan.
he was an
I don't know
audience
if Bob Dylan did well busking. That might have been why he made albums. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he used to
But,
play there
yeah.
in Brooklyn Bridge. They used to pass by and drop some coins. I couldn't understand them, but
right?
Do you keep up with other buskers? Are you familiar with any other musicians that started out as buskers, like Glenn Hansard or Damian Rice or any of those guys?
No.
I was going to say who was your favorite, but if you yourself, right?
I'm my favorite.
I am my favorite busker.
Because there's a few out there that you recognize.
Very few and far between.
Yeah, because usually a busker is not real serious about doing it. Buskers, are very diversified.
They have different reasons.
They have different reasons. There's some that do it, for the art. Maybe like half of them. The other half are doing it because they need a quick buck. They're traveling and they need to survive and they come in and out.
There's a lot of people who come in and you never see again. You see them once, and it's a big transient community, I guess.
But I say half of them are pretty steady.
Yeah, I see the same. I think the same. There's 6 or 7 that I've seen
Pretty steady.
at least 5 times over the last, I'll say 3-4 years.
You know Steve Trucken?
Truckin?
Yeah, Steve Trucken.
His last name is Truckin?
Well, that's his
That's his
stage name.
moniker.
Moniker.
I think I just saw something on YouTube. Did he do something recently?
He
Because
has such a
it
unique
was a
style.
poster. Yeah. Yeah.
He goes
Yeah.
like that. He's some people love him and some people just find him completely horrible. But the thing is that I like about him is that he's unique. I never heard anybody sing like that, like Steve Trucken. You've seen him? You haven't seen him?
I just saw something last week.
He's a busker, you mean, right? He's out on
Yeah,
horse.
he's a busker, but he doesn't do it very much. He just does it to keep his edge somewhat.
I saw a YouTube video, a YouTube clip of somebody had done it, and that's what they were saying was, I guess they were visiting, and they were like, what is this guy doing with his voice? And I was like, and I thought, oh, Tiny Tim did that. But then so did some of the T-Rex Golden Velvet Underground people would do that really weird.
Is that the Bee Gees? I don't know.
no.
Might be the Bee Gees.
Close
There's a
enough.
Laurie Anderson song that sounds like that.
Well, that's Laurie
Oh,
Anderson's with.
Superman. She's this weird, very
Yeah, oh,
avant-garde, very strange.
That's Lou Reed's wife. Yeah.
Yeah.
Naturally.
There was a guy that we knew pretty well. His name was Mike. He looked kind of like Billy Joel. Sounded a lot like him too. Would sing Bob Seger, Billy Joel, some Elton John sometimes. A lot of the '70s stuff. He was around up until recently, maybe last year. I don't know if you ever met him. He was pretty much. I mean, like, busking was one of the main things he did for his income. So he was like filing taxes based on it. So he was out there a
Based
lot.
on his income.
I don't know if you ever ran into it.
Crazy.
Well, he must have made a couple grand a year or something.
He did. He went ahead with the folk festival group.
Plays the banjo?
No, he plays acoustic guitar, but he can play the whole repertoire of Appalachian folk music, bluegrass, and he has a very his guitar's modified. It's extremely bright. It resonates, but it sounds like a 12-string, only it's a 6-string. So he had it all custom fit, and it has that exact jangle.
Because he can't plug it in.
Yeah, we used to see him out here almost as often as you for a couple of years there. I don't know if you ever bumped into him.
I'm not quite about half as much.
You know who he is, Bill?
No, maybe if I saw him, I'd recognize him.
You know what type of guitar that was?
Was
Anybody?
it,
Custom made.
But you
He
don't
started
know
with
what
a
make.
Martin.
was it a resonator? Was it, did it have like a metal disc on it?
He reinforced the body, he reset the bridge, obviously, and then he had it where it could be amplified. But the wood was, he had handpicked the wood, I guess. So it had this big bowl sound on top of these very thick, jangling, kind of almost 12-string. You know how a 12-string has that kind of banjo sound to it? Sort of a coiled sound. So that's when he played, that's how it was. Extremely bright. Very, very bright. I mean, the strings were really heavy.
No resonator, right? No
Yeah, the
resonator.
resonator. He had a wood and he had shaped the body of it differently. It's really nicely done. He started with a Martin.
We saw him a while back coming out of Fry's over on Grant. I think he said he had sort of moved on from busking.
Yeah, he started doing folk festivals, kind of that kind of thing. But he would move up and down the street, and he mentioned you. And I think Mike was the one that said you were like a music machine. And that was unusual because you would just stand, plug in, start, and as people went by, you could change almost as if you were really providing this little soundtrack as people walked back and forth. Whereas he did the sort of traditional, here's my box, what would you like to hear?
Yeah,
And he would accompany you if you sang. So
he did songs from the beginning, middle, and end.
it's exactly as written,
I'm
exactly
just
as
musical ideas, just improvisations of musical ideas.
concept. It's gorgeous. It's a soundscape. It's gorgeous. It's
We're
gorgeous.
recognizable, you know, that's how people.
Thank you very much.
No, it's
Good.
When he would come over, we'd play for hours, man. Hours.
We've seen him out there for. It didn't look like he sat down for 6 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he did, but we didn't see it. I was like, my God, he's still standing here. I don't believe
It's
this.
one of those things, whenever you stop playing and you're walking by, you're like, what's going on? What's going on?
What happens?
What's going on, Will? We didn't know your name at the time, but we're still like, what's going on? Because we've seen you play out there like the entire night, nonstop.
I never moved, never spoke, just played.
Maybe we missed the breaks, I don't know.
No, we did.
You play like hours on end, don't you?
Incredible
That's awesome.
stamina. It's incredible.
Well, you got it's not like, you know, a lot of buskers, they have this idea of, you know, like a stage, you know.
Right.
And you do an hour and a half, and then or 2 hours, you know, and then you go out. But you have to stay there, I believe, all night to get the full effect from beginning to end, the middle, and get the whole experience.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I just
So
don't
the last
think
person walks out of the bar.
that was Prince's motto. That he would not stop playing until the last person left the concert hall.
Oh yeah,
And every single concert he did, that was exactly what you would.
he would do that.
Absolutely.
So he'd then he'd be
Not
there for
stop
6 or
playing.
8 hours.
He would be there 4 to 6 hours.
Weren't you at that show where
Oh,
you
yeah.
played Purple Rain for like,
I was at the debut concert for Purple Rain. And
he just kept playing it?
Then he must have been a busker too.
Maybe.
he
2 hours is nothing to a busker.
he was a music. What do you call it? You're like a shop kid.
Major?
Well, he did 2 things all of his life. He played basketball and he played music. But before he was 17, he had mastered 12 instruments. Mastered.
Wow.
Yeah, he's an absolute Mozart. Wunderkind, you know? Wild and weird and wonderful and anyway, but he would, any opportunity to play with anybody on anything, he would show up with his little tiny self, tiny mousy boy, and just, oh, it's okay if I sit in on your drum? Yeah. And then, thanks. Every single chance he got. Every single chance he got. But where he grew up in Minneapolis, his streets were a lot more dangerous for him than 4th Avenue would be. But, yeah, so he just, any opportunity, he was absolutely consumed with music. He liked to play basketball and make music and ping pong. Like, that's what he did. That's what he did. His head was just stuffed full. It was just, that was all it was.
Got at least 2 more questions here. So,
But
first question of these 2, and then I'll see if we missed any. Do you have a philosophy of the value of busking in general?
it was the greatest gift that busking gives.
Love.
Yeah.
It's love. It's love for everybody. For most people that are, indifferent, and the few that can appreciate you. And then there's the tiny, really bad seed that could spit your way. But you have to love them too. And you have to treat them like their long lost brother or sister.
Family.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, in all these years, in these 12 years, I only seen 1 cat fight, 2 women fighting. All that time, women do not fight physically like men do.
Not like they used to. Where I grew up, it was a different story.
So.
But only 1 cat fight. Tell me about what happened in a cat fight. Was it hello kitty goodbye?
No, it was just a real dragged out 2 females, pulling hairs, and there were pieces of hair. There was 1 clump, where I was playing, but that was just 1 time where.
So did you keep playing?
Yeah, did you keep playing through the fight? Did you stop and back up?
No, I stopped playing and I blew my whistle.
Did you?
Yeah, I have one of those English police, the London Bobby type
Oh
whistle.
yeah, the Bobby whistle.
Yeah, a real one.
Yep.
I think it's called the Thunder.
Yeah.
Did it help people come and break it up?
Half the time. 50% it works and they disperse, and 50% they just don't care and they're in the heat of the fight and they don't care if the cops are.
Here comes the cops and all this kind of thing.
Their pride.
Did these 2 survive that, or they manage to walk away together? Missing chunks of hair? Oh my god.
Usually the police come, and they take care of things. Protect, serve and protect, which is great because it could turn into chaos if the police weren't down there. Sure. It could be
Easily
no man's land out there.
I've only ever seen 1 fight break out, and it broke out in a club with in 2003, where it was almost a movie. It was an established cocaine dealer. Was in a club with his girls, and one of the girls bought something from this other up and coming guy who didn't know any better, and oh my lord. And and the 2 of them, this wannabe dealer and this established guy, the wannabe guy shows up with this tuxedo and his cane and his girl on his arm, and it was one of this other guy's girls, and that was it. And they went at it. And it was an absolute brawl. I mean, chairs and bottles and the girls were flying in pieces, and the young guy got torn to shreds. And I was like, that's the only time I've ever seen an out and out, just massive, just 2 guys going at it on 4th Avenue in 14 years. So I guess I missed all the knockdown, drag out fights, all the fun. I missed all the fun.
Did you see the burning of the hut?
Yep. I did see that. You were there too? You were?
The police were with their elbows locked.
Right.
In a line from one end of the street to the other, and they
Right.
started marching from University down
Right.
4th Avenue,
Right.
and they were using. I remember I was at the Pancho Villa's at the corner there, and they gas canned the IBTs, the gay club. Just, I mean, it hit the door. It wasn't like anybody was coming out or anything.
Yeah,
But they forced everybody out the back because just that much, made everybody flee.
I remember that when they burned it. There was another one. There was the Hut, and then there was I can't remember the names of it. You have what's it called? O'Malley's, the Hut, and then there was. There's like 3 of them altogether, and they burned the Hut, and then one building they got on, it was like a week or 2 later. We crawled up on the roof in the middle of the night, the roof collapsed. And at that point it was, students were restricted, and the street just went but all the performers were like, because they couldn't even, they couldn't do anything. It was rioting. I don't know. They won a game, they lost a game, whatever. It just went on and on.
So bearing the sordid history of 4th Avenue in mind, the highs and lows, what would be your best advice for someone wanting to join the busking scene in Tucson?
My best advice.
Yeah, if you were like say you had a protege, what would you teach them? What would be the lessons?
Protege for real.
Just to treat everybody like family.
Right on.
That way, a lot of things a lot of doors open that way. When you're really nice to everybody.
Kindness matters.
And especially if they're unkind to you, you have to return it with kindness. You can't return it with unkindness. Because then a fight ensues.
That's right.
And the Busker's #1 priority is to preserve the peace. I think, in my opinion, it's the best thing.
I totally agree.
We're not there to fight. We're there to make music and make people happy.
That's
You
right.
can't let some 1 in 1,000 person that they're upset with their lives take it out on you and drag it down to their level. You just have to return it with love.
Mozart said once, when he was asked, because he was always depicted as this very selfish, arrogant, super genius, and he knew it type guy. But when he was asked what was the role of music, what was the musician's role, because he was playing in very dangerous revolutionary times. Mozart. Little Wolfie, And he said, in the 1700s, he said, well, music has to always be elevated above all other considerations, politics, even religion, because it has to survive us. He didn't think that he's so arrogant, but even Mozart felt that music was that thing that held the best of society. He said that music is the best that we have, and it has to remain above, untouched by the worst that we have, and the worst of us, so that even the lowest is closer to God, as he said, can touch heaven for just a moment. That's what music does. And that was all he had to say about that. And I thought, to me, as a classical musician too, I always felt, or as a performer, that really is what the artist brings. It's the soundtrack to a person's life. It's setting a tone. It's a continuity, And poets are voices for their generation, so to speak. But musicians on that perpetual background that held it all together. It's always that song that you remember at that moment in your life when you forgot everything. Your best girl's name, you'll forget that, but you'll remember the song on the radio that was playing, right? This kind of thing. So I totally agree with that. You seem to have really embodied that perspective and philosophy, and it shows in every single note, and in the fact that no matter who we ask, even store owners, who do you think we should talk to? That guy. He's always there. He's been here evidently, you've been here since dinosaurs, because the memory's short. So.
Well, I've been there before. A lot of people that are around there have been employed there.
Yeah.
So I've already been there by that time.
You wrote out the
People grew up with
renovations. You were there before those.
I was there when the traditional trolley.
Oh wow, that's a long, yeah, that's a long time.
Because the trolley didn't come that long ago. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. They didn't have one for like 5 years, right?
No, they had the Japanese one.
Yeah, the little San Francisco trolley.
Yeah, but they didn't run them for a while. When they did all the renovations, like they stopped it for several years.
Yeah, they stopped it. I think it was 2 or 3 years to build the new system.
They had to do the underpass, I think, first, and then they had to get it suited because the wire overhead, it was...
Yeah, they had a lot of problems with that wire.
Somebody got electrocuted, and that was, that's it.
I think the biggest disappointment
But anyway.
of the renovation, though, is that the grill on Congress was open all the way through the renovation, and then like they were bringing down all the fences, and the guy decided to close shop.
He
It's like, he made it, and then he quit. It was too bad.
The end of the Tucson
They lost a lot of
underground
business,
scene.
you know. No one was going down that way because it was all boarded up and all closed off and stuff. It was too bad. Like, that's where a lot of times when we were younger, we'd go out and end our nights there. You know, because they were open till 4 in the morning. We'd go there after the bars. Biscuits and gravy. You ever frequent the grill? That's something
I've been to the grill a couple times. It's the one on Congress, right?
Yeah,
I don't think it's there anymore.
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah, I think it's gone.
It's too bad.
Well, thanks for giving us all the time for interview. And do you want a coffee or tea or water? Can we get you anything else?
Unless you guys are going to have something.
Yeah, we will. But we can get out of your face with the sound machines, you know.
Yeah, whatever you're having.
They got so many good things.
Bueno, muchas mil gracias por todo. Thank you guys.
Oh, you gotta give me your number.
Tell me your name.
Lourdes.
Lourdes what?
Curacao.
Caruso?
Curacao.
Oh, Caruso.
Yeah, it's being changed.
And what's his name?
Blake Caesar.
Blake Caesar? Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Email, stay in
Oh,
touch.
can I just get
With
a
some people, keep in touch.
It's got to be about a 20-minute drive from your house.
It's 18 miles away, so probably a little long.
You like Nirvana?
Yeah, yeah.
Alright, I'll do Nirvana.
good. That sounds excellent, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
People tell me that I sound better.
Oh, yeah.
I used to.
Yep. Bitcoins, man. Bitcoins, I tell you.
Bitcoin.
Otra, otra, otra.
That's a good idea. The New York City skyline in front of the camera.
If I do like that.
It's got to be about a 20-minute drive from your house.
It's 18 miles away, so probably a little long.